Invictus Motors, Invictus Porsche. I've got this Mr. Stephen. He's purchased this Porsche 911, and if I'm right, this is a 60th birthday present to
yes,
you?
It was.
Okay. And also you've taken a fair bit of money out of your kind of pension, was it? So that sets the tone. And the rest of the video will basically discuss why not I think Porsche is a con, but Porsche is a con. And this experience here fortunately with my customer who's having to go through facing and I'll get to this in a minute, an almost £5,000 to £6,000 invoice of things he doesn't even need doing. And to make matters worse, it's not just an invoice of things that they're telling him that it needs doing. They're simply telling him that we are just going to look at your car properly. Ignoring the fact that he's already spent £250 paying them for diagnosing it. Whereas when he shared this report with me and told me, you know, my car's misfiring, it's at Porsche, they've sent me a bill worth £5,000 to £6,000 simply to diagnose, simply to further investigate and further see why his 911 has a misfire. Why is Porsche so incompetent? I, as an independent with a small group of people, I mean, at best we're a team of 5 with 1 mechanic, some external expertise, are able to look at this, diagnose it, saying that all it is one of the turbo clamps. This is the intake into the turbos, and I'll show that to you in a minute. That's all it is that was broken. That was basically simply causing the oil to spill out, unfortunately trigger a misfire on bank 2, and that misfire on the diagnostic machine was then reciprocated both on bank 1. So you've ultimately had misfire on all 3 cylinders on bank 1, all 3 cylinders on bank 2, a clamp on a turbo. So at best, any competent mechanic will look at this and say, let's look at the root cause. Somebody that just have absolute bog basic knowledge. Oh, might need spark plugs, might need coil packs, and let's put that clamp, let's put the car back together. But before we do that, let's just inspect everything to make sure that it is as it should be. And that was it, that's what solved the problem. So let's just hear it from Glenn's perspective. I know Glenn, Stephen, I keep getting it the other way around.
It's all right.
What happened getting to the point where you actually had the misfire? And so what were the motions then? You know, you obviously then went to the main dealer. What exactly went through?
Yeah, well, I was driving home from work, and I got not far from my mother-in-law's, and I had a misfire. But it was only a small misfire. Then it just got worse. When I got to a junction, it was as though the car was on 3 cylinders. So because she lives not far from Porsche, and it said on the dash you could drive it, so I thought I'll take it to Porsche. They can tell me what it is, and then we can take it from there. We had a £250 video basically on just under the car. No diagnostic, just saying it could be this, it could be that, and that was it. Then you get a list of what it could be, and the prices. The prices are just extortionate.
Yeah.
So then I
just to kind of read out these extortionate prices. A £250 to do a video. I mean, it cost £2.50 to diagnose what was wrong with it.
Yeah.
A blind man could diagnose it, and this is Porsche Centre Hull for you. £2,314. Engine misfiring and smoking heavily, requires compression test to determine cause of fire. Misfire. £3,806, oil leaks around turbocharge, requires inspection to determine cause. Suspect oil tanks and line requires replacement. At an independent, at that cost, £3,806, you can have both of the turbos taken off, sent to a specialist to get refurbed, and have them fitted back in. And that is still at a pretty premium cost. At the cost of £2,314 for them to investigate engine misfiring and smoking heavily because it requires a compression test, at best, I think we probably spent less than an hour doing a compression test.
Yeah.
And we did do a compression
yeah.
test. But at an independent, that's £90 for the hour doing the compression test. How are they getting to that? They've just lumped on a figure.
Yeah. They have.
No idea. So sorry.
No.
Just continue.
No.
You pay £250.
Yeah, pay
on a video
£250.
where, you already know the car's misfiring.
Yep.
You already know that it's got an oil leak.
Yep.
And you're like, Porsche, please have a look at this. They've said to you it's going to cost £250 for us to tell you or determine what it needs.
Yeah.
But then they haven't told you what it needs.
No,
They've just told you, can you authorize £5,000 to £6,000?
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
So what went through your mind?
Oh, I was. Well, first of all, when it first got the misfire, I was gutted. I was proper, really mad about it. Really. So calm down. Rang you. You said, if because I live 3 hours away, we'll sort a pickup for it, which we did. The pickup was within 4 hours. The car was. First of all, the AA came out to it, looked at it, said, "Oh yeah, it always goes on that bank."
Yeah.
Because he was an ex
Porsche
mechanic.
Yeah.
Who looked at it, and then he said, "Don't start it up. We'll get it on the
Sure.
on the pickup."
Sure.
Got it on the pickup, and it was here that day. So.
And then literally the following day, we had it up on the ramp. We knew what it needed. And let me just show you the culprit. Yeah. The culprit is this clamp right there on that turbo intake. See that clamp? That's all.
Yeah.
It's a Jubilee clip.
Yeah.
You can go to any plumbing store, and Porsche uses them. You could go to any plumbing store, and that Jubilee clip is about 50 pence. So please tell me, if this is not a con on Porsche's part, then what is? What are we paying these people £250? What, to just film us a video? So why don't they make it clear that we're going to charge you £250 just to put it on a ramp and for a guy to go around it and do a video on it? And what makes this con even worse is if it's a tech working, you met my tech, you met the mechanic.
I met him, yeah, spoke to him.
He talked to you.
He did.
He explained the car to you, what's happened, what he's done.
What he's done.
What was the cause of the misfire, the cause of the oil leak,
Yeah.
what we did to address all of that, and we're going to take it out for a drive. Where are Porsche's tech? With all due respect, we don't need to speak to a pretty lady or, some guy in a suit with a tie. He's not working on your 60th birthday present.
No.
You've worked a good solid, 40, 45 years of your life to put yourself in this position, in these shoes, to then go out to your pension fund, take a big chunk of money, buy your dream car, to then go and get this diabolical service of a pretty woman being flashed in your face, or a decent, semi-average, potentially a good-looking guy in a suit, in a tie, dressed up, that doesn't know these cars, that don't even drive these cars, that doesn't own it, doesn't work on them, doesn't do anything but to be the expert to tell you what your car needs. Is that right? No, it's not. Okay. And to make matters worse, if you ask to speak to a tech, they refuse. That's because a lot of techs are very honest, and they will tell you as is, and they will tell you that all of this is to simply push them and choke them to meet the billable number of hours. I've had friends that have worked at Porsche, and if they don't hit that billable target of 93, 94, 95% of billable hours, they don't get their bonus at the end of the month. That £300 bonus. But the £300 bonus is at a cost of, unfortunately, Glenn having to spend 15 grand. And for these guys to hit their targets. And this is where, again, I say Porsche is a con. And I don't mean the manufacturer, I mean these franchisee, privately owned dealers. Whether it's Sitna, whether it's Jardine, come on guys, fix it up. And far too often I do find Porsches that have had a full Porsche service history, that have just been serviced at the main dealer, 200 miles. You put it up on the ramp because you have a feeling. And all the cold packs are seized.
Yeah.
So how have you done the spark plugs when the cold packs are seized?
Yeah.
So you haven't done it. And then you remove the cold packs with a lot of struggle. You have to then replace the cold packs, and the spark plugs, you're looking at them and they're old as anything. And then I've done loads of videos on those old spark plugs. Again, I almost want to scream out, and this is Porsche Centre Hull for you. But that applies to Porsche Centre Guildford. That applies to a lot of the these other main dealers. Car goes in, it gets a vibe, it just gets a wipe down, goes back to the customer. 2 years later, it's still under that 3 years warranty. So if anything was to go wrong, they will just claim it under that 3-year warranty. Then it comes to the 4th year service, but they tell you to extend the warranty. Again, they don't service it. A nice wipe down. Some days they may, some days they don't. It's not to say that they don't all the time.
No.
But it's all a show. And I think this is where, unfortunately, we're probably getting to a point where this con is not just probably frustrated you, it's frustrated a lot of other people. I'm in near Bond Street. I see a lovely Porsche 911 991.1, and I just looked around it like you would as a fan. And this is on Sunday. And then I stood by a bicycle rack and took a photo of it, and you could see the photo. And 2-3 minutes later, the guy comes over. He says, "Oh, you're the Invictus guy." I said, "Thank you." I'm like, who would know me? And we had a little chat. He says, "I'd like to get a 991.2." But every time I jump onto the internet, it's saying these problems about the turbos. And don't buy it because of the turbos. And he's like, "Can you tell me what happened?" And I said to him, "I will do a video for you with an experience of why that problem is the problem. It's not because that problem is really inherent. Yes, there might be some degree of fault, but that degree of fault could be 1%, 2%, 3%. Yes, I did say that Bang 2 turbo, the turbo turbine has a bit of a play. But that play could have been there from 100 miles, from 200 miles. It could be there from the point of manufacturer. Sometimes, you know, when we remove that turbo, if you told me, "Basheer, I'll pay you £500, please send it off, get it rebuilt," the turbo specialist, like, i.e., for example, Turbo Dynamics, shout out to them, good company. Turbo Dynamics would say, "Look, this is a good enough turbo. It is working. But if we rebuild it, unfortunately, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be better, because we break it apart, rebuild it, doesn't give you that concrete outcome or the desired outcome." So again, before we jump on to taking this out for a test drive, and the reason for the test drive is I'd like to go through the experience with Glenn in terms of just starting this car up, taking it out for a spin, because this is another very important thing. You buy a Porsche from a pretty lady at the main dealer, franchise, main dealer, private, owned by Jardine or Sitna, and or a guy. They don't personally own one of these Porsches. They don't live and breathe them like a lot of independents do. They, other than test drives, or other than going to the Porsche Silverstone Experience Day, and other than some really lovely glossy words, they can't tell you anything about it. So this video in this next section, and I'll also post this separately, is how to actually start these up, and the initial 5 to 10 minutes drive them, and ultimately before you come to a complete halt, what you need to do from a preventative point of view to come to a stop, just to look after your car, to maintain your car, switch it off, turn it off, and then the following day you do the same thing on repeat over and over again. Why are Porsche not passing on that knowledge? Well, they're not passing it on because they don't actually know, people at these main dealer centers, they don't know what they're doing. On the F430, the minute you open the door, there's an F1 pump running for anywhere between 10 to 15 seconds. And that's obviously for the transmission, priming everything up. And that's what ideally we'd like to be doing with this. Glenn previously owned, I think, a 2009, 2008 Porsche Cayman 987.2. Even though that has the DFI, well, based on the architecture of the DFI engine, the 9A1 engine, this, as a matter of fact, with all the complexities from the modern day technology, should need slightly bit more care than the 987.2. And let me explain why. Firstly, when you get into the car and you put your key in the ignition, don't have your feet on the pedals whatsoever. Just leave it there in the ignition and just turn the key, and all you do is wait about, I'm going to switch off the air conditioning. That's another thing that I do, because what I don't want to do is get into my car, have the air conditioning in the summer, or have the heating full blown blowing at me. All you do is wait 6 seconds. Believe it or not, the 997.1 used to have a 6-second countdown where it would measure your oil. And now we can start it up, and Adam, you can get this bit from the back. Now that you've started your 911, what you do is wait 30 seconds or 60 seconds, your aircon or your heating is off, and you will hear, like right now, this is loud. This has got that proper gurgle.
Yeah, yeah.
And in about anywhere 30 to 60 seconds, those revs will drop. However, if you are living in some sort of a residential complex with an underground car park, or you're in a car park somewhere, and you just want to put it in drive to just get to the exit point, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
That's what you wait for.
yeah. And I know some people can get a bit excessive about letting it run for 3-4 minutes, and that's not really needed. Straight away, the other thing I recommend is to deactivate stop start. And that's now deactivated. And I will explain to you the pros and the cons. Stop start is actually another con before I say anything about the pro. And I will tell you the one pro it has. And you know, that's on that one pro, you might save yourself 50 pence on a 100-mile journey.
Yeah.
But that is not really a pro.
No.
But the con is simply designed by the manufacturers to work around EU emission. And EU in itself, to some degree, some of their policies are a bit of a con. Why are they pushing these car manufacturers into a corner to come up to come up with the Dieselgate scandal, to come up with, you know, if you don't know what the Dieselgate scandal is, all it was is the software was not showing the real emission figures.
Yeah.
It was hiding it in the background. That's what Dieselgate was. But
It
the
was.
stop start, all it is, you know, when you're on a track for 5 miles,
Yeah.
simulating what emission figures this will produce.
Yeah.
So that when you come to a complete stop like that, to simulate traffic, oh yeah, I've stopped, the car's turned off, and the car's not producing any gases whatsoever, and that's why they're able to give them very, very low nitrogen dioxide numbers and carbon dioxide numbers.
Yep.
But real traffic is never like this.
No.
You move a little bit, you stop, you move a little, you stop, you move a little, you stop. So this switching on, off, I mean, this is a turbocharged, a very sophisticated car. It's as if you just got Usain Bolt to sprint 100 meters, and imagine during that race at the 25 meters mark, you just shot him down. You just basically told him to stop, to freeze.
Yeah.
And then you asked him to start again and again and again. That athlete will not have more than one race for his career.
No.
But obviously these cars are, as I said, you know, on a side conversation at the beginning of the videos, they are almost to the degree over-engineered.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can handle a lot of abuse. So that's my other point of recommendation. And obviously,
That's what I do every time I get in
Yeah.
it. Switch that off, put that on,
yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's it.
and
You
that's,
do that.
That's
Yeah.
it.
So you're probably waiting for what's the One Pro. The One Pro is, if you actually have a look at, I've lightened up the dash. Let me lift it up as well, so Adam can show it into the camera. If you actually have a look at the dash, I'm doing 39 miles an hour, and if I take my foot off the brake pedal, those revs stay the same. Yeah. What stop start does from an emission, also a technology point of view, that when you're on a motorway, not in stop start traffic, if you were to turn that back on, yeah, and if I'm going along, just cruising along like that on a motorway, what tends to happen is the revs will automatically drop and stay around 1,000
Yeah.
or that 1 mark. Or you obviously it went up a gear, that's why it's gone to 1,000. And what that does is ultimately helps to kind of put you in some sort of an economy mode on a motorway. But like I said, on a journey of 100 miles, at best you'll save is 50 pence. And you know, we've driven this enough that if you wanted to do a little bit of hard driving, you can. There's
Yeah.
a tunnel coming up. Let's use that. And I will tell you, what I'm doing right now is also sort of wrong. Didn't want to do anything crazy. And the reason I didn't want to do anything crazy is this video should be taken from a role model point of view. You see here that the engine is up to temperature, 90. Oh, lovely. Yeah, my engine is up to temperature. I can just abuse it, drive it hard, and just, you know, throw it in every possible corner because the engine is up to temperature. But is your oil temperature up to temperature, your oil temperature is still flat at the bottom underneath 60. Yes, the coolant, the engine temperature is important, but what about the blood, the thing that lubricates all these, you know, heavy mechanical components, which is your engine oil? And if that's not up to temperature, why are you pushing the car and abusing the car? And normally, I had a customer, normally we find that on the older classic cars, and I'll tell them, please, before any hard driving, please wait for the engine oil temperature to come up to temp.
Yeah.
And I've had a couple of times customers sit with me, go out on a 10-15 minute test drive. In 15 minutes it should come up a little bit, but they somehow develop the idea that the oil temperature gauge isn't working. And then I have to drive it for myself for 20-25 minutes and do a separate video on them to prove to them that it is indeed working.
Yeah.
So we're coming almost to the end of our drive, this segment of the video, to the petrol station. Glenn, have you got anything else to say?
No, all I can say is I'm really, really happy with what you've done and how you've treated me, and I can't say anything else, Bash. The experience with Invictus has been second to none, really.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, and it's not a pleasure that the car had a fault, but to have it rectified in good time was second to none.
Thank you, thank you. I mean, we did indeed have it all up and running within about, I think, 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
But as with anything, it took another 2 days, and I sent you videos.
Yeah, you did.
Video on the day it got fixed, hey Glenn, it's done, and a video the following day me driving it, and the day after that me driving it. And I know you were saying about delivery, and I did actually have something coming up in your direction this week, but I wanted you to come and spend a bit of time with me to go through the car, because what we're doing here is worth more than the circa 60,000 pound you spent on this.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. It goes a long way. You know, it's ultimately, I say, you know, a cyclist doesn't jump onto the cycle for Tour de France sprinting at 100 miles an hour.
No.
But unfortunately, because we think they're machines, they forget that machines also work with gravity. Machine also work with oxygen. If you didn't have oxygen, you won't have spark, and if you wouldn't have oxygen, these machines will starve and they won't be able to perform.
No.
But we forget that these machines also have a stomach, which is a fuel tank, just like our stomach. And they still have an intake pipe and an outtake pipe, just like the human body does.
Yeah.
So a lot of things that is in nature around us, I have to say, is designed to the same principle.
Yeah.
So now we're coming to the end of the test drive. And imagine this is on a day out, you've driven the vehicle.
Yeah.
And I'm probably at this minute right now going incredibly slow. But let's just say I've driven this incredibly spiritedly in between when I started it for about 30 minutes. So before you come to a complete halt, to completely stop, what you do is 5 minutes beforehand, especially if your car is in sports mode or you've done a lot of really hard driving, is to just drive it at the normal speed, 30-40 miles an hour, so the engine can cool down with all the air and the turbos can cool down. Believe it or not, the McLaren handbook for the F70S, no, the 570S, 570 GT, 540C, and anything above that, we're talking about the entry-level McLarens, all say that when you start the car, deactivate stop start, and when you start it, wait for that 30 seconds to a minute.
All right.
And at the end of your test drive, 5 minutes, 10 minutes beforehand, let natural air at normal speed cool down your turbos and your engine before you turn it off.
Right.
And the last thing not to forget is that I did the common mistake, put it in neutral, deactivate handbrake, and you know, you can lift your foot a little bit off the brake pedal if you want, and now put it in park. What a lot of people will do is not deactivate handbrake, plonk it onto parked, and leave the car as is, so that when they get into the car the next time around to get in it, to put it into drive, do you hear that big clonk?
I don't, because I use the handbrake, but I know what you mean.
I have to be honest, I've actually seen it on my forecourt.
Yeah.
And I tell all of my colleagues, I mean, including the cameraman Adam, that this is the level that we need to be passing on to our customers.
Yeah, you do.
So on this point, thank you once again for doing the second segment. I will put the fuel in and you can pay for it.
Okay.